Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tip Tuesday from Sweet Beads in Las Vegas, Nevada. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Tip Tuesday. I'm your host, Shae, and today we're going to talk about how many beads you need. We've already had an episode where we talked about how many beads there were per gram. So we know how many beads per gram there are for our project. Say it calls for 8 grams. We know we're going to order 8 grams, right? Well, yes and no. You have to keep in mind that, first of all, bead weights are approximate. So on the tube, it'll say approximately 22 grams. It might be 21, it might be 23. So those are approximate. Also in seed beads, certain manufacturers, Japanese seed beads are generally known to be very precise and uniform. So that's great. But if you order beads from, say, Czechoslovakia, China, some less expensive manufacturers, they do need to be culled. So you'd have to go through your beads and you might get a really tiny one. These are Japanese, so I can't really show you the variation, but in Czech beads, they can vary widely. They can be very small, they can be very large, they can have uneven edges, and so you would want to order extra to cull out those beads. Okay, so that's one reason why you would order extra beads. Another reason is that dye lots don't always match exactly. They're usually pretty darn close, but every now and then you will get a variation in color. Just like in yarn, dye lots can vary. So you'll want to order enough of the color of your project so that your dye lot is the same. The other thing is especially if you're using these new check shaped beads, beads like the Diamond Duo, the Avas, the Super Duos, Zola Duos, they can have some issues in consistency, and they can have blocked holes. That's probably the number one thing that we find, is that the hole is, one of the two holes is blocked by, the coating or something like that. So you'll check your beads before you use them. You'll put your needle through both holes, make sure that that's fine. Some people do a whole pile at once. I tend to do them as I'm beading. So say this was my next bead in my project. I just picked up that hole. I would drop it on my bead mat and then pick up the second hole. And I know both holes are good and I can continue to bead. So blocked holes are one reason you would order extra beads. Sometimes there's breakage. It just happens with these little Zola Duos, these little paisley shaped beads. Sometimes this top little point on there gets broken in shipping. Just a natural course of things. Same with these Avas. If you don't pack them flat, like when we ship them to our customers, I make sure that all of them are laying flat. So that any pressure that goes on them is kind of equal. But sometimes people just throw them in a bag and ship them, and then because they're pressing up against something else, these points can get broken in shipping. Sometimes you'll just have a bead that isn't real pretty. I mean, these are manufactured out of glass, so sometimes things happen. So what you want to keep in mind whenever you're ordering beads for your project is to order about 10% more than what you think you'll need. And that's not really a whole lot of beads. If your project calls for 10 grams of Diamond Duos, you're only ordering 11 grams. But you may have to order a whole second package. So you may have to order actually 16 grams, depending on who you're ordering from and how they package their beads. But you definitely want to have extras. I've had people say, well, I got just the right amount of beads. I bought just the right amount of crystals. I bought, it called for 36. I bought a package of 36 whatevers. And, one was broken or one had a blocked hole or something. And now you're down a bead and you can't finish your project because you're missing 1, 2, or 3 beads. So just like if we were ordering carpet or things like that, you want about 10% more. So in case you have to cull beads, in case you have broken beads, blocked holes, whatever, you can remount these blocked holes sometimes, but sometimes I find that when I go to remount, they just break. So that's the rule of thumb. Order about 10% more than what you think you'll need. Sure, you'll have a few extra beads on hand, but when was the last time having a bead stash was a problem? Okay, thanks for joining us today. We hope that helped on how many beads you should get to complete your projects. And we weren't around last week, and we do apologize, but there was a rather large tragedy here in Las Vegas, and so we did take the day off to donate to the victims of that, and we are standing Vegas strong. So thanks. We will see you next week, and until then, happy beading. And don't forget to purchase all of your beads, thread, needles, supplies. Check us out at sweetbeadslv.etsy.com.